Now, some breaking news for you. In the last few minutes, Essex police have confirmed that 2 arrests were made during anti-migration protests in Epping last night.
Yes, now we know that the unrest was sparked after a 38-year-old Ethiopian migrant was charged with 3 counts of sexual assault. He denies the offences ahead of his trial next month.
Well, Number 10 Downing Street says it's important that communities know that we are working to reduce the numbers of asylum hotels. It's important that legitimate protest does not cross over into something else. OK, well, let's speak to someone who knows the area and knows what's going on. The Conservative councillor at Epping and Theydon Bois, Holly Whitbread. Thank you very much, Holly, for being with us. I've seen that you've put out a bit of a statement on Facebook and on X since last night. It must be hard as someone local to the community to see what took place outside the hotel and how the protests became violent. What's your assessment of what we saw?
It's pretty disturbing to see what happened last night. I mean, I'm the local councillor and I've lived in Epping my whole life, so it really isn't something that you expect to see. As a council, we've absolutely condemned the hotel and called on the government to close it immediately, and we have done that since it reopened. The government have ignored those calls repeatedly. But obviously, whilst peaceful protest is legitimate, it's just not good enough to see scenes like this in the streets of Epping.
And Holly, how did it descend into violence and unrest? Because we're told that initially it was peaceful, people legitimately protesting because of this alleged incident by a migrant who was staying at the hotel and had crossed into this country illegally or by irregular means. So how did it descend into violence in your mind?
So I think there were local people who were legitimately and peacefully protesting, but I think there were also people both on the left and the right who were there as professional protesters and who were there to cause trouble. So it diluted what was a message, a legitimate message of concern where people were causing trouble and being violent, which is obviously absolutely unacceptable.
I mean, it does seem like it's a very hard thing to manage to police when there is this amount of anger in local communities. We do sort of see these events taking place more and more often. I mean, what can be done to make sure, yes, that people can have their voices heard, of course, but that also the police and our police can maintain order and, frankly, maintain their own safety too?
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to thank Essex Police, and I believe the Met Police were involved as well last night. So thanks for their actions in what was an incredibly difficult and unexpected, quite frankly, in the area that we live in. And while it's absolutely right that people can protest, it's also right that they do so peacefully, and when necessary, and we've seen the arrests have been made today, those actions are taken. I mean, what is really clear to me, and the message as a council that we keep giving to the government, is this hotel needs to close now. We can't let this, it's at boiling point. We saw this incident last night, and this cannot be allowed to continue.
Yeah, the claim also is that, Holly, that essentially locals were protesting outside the hotel, and they have done on previous days as well, of course. And then the sort of anti-racist, stand up to racism, anti-fascist brigade was sort of bussed in from, all over to counter it. Is that true? Is that what was going on?
Yeah, there were definitely trouble causers from both the left and the right. I think there was about 60 far left protesters, which mainly come in from London. And there were also kind of BNP, patriotic alternative protesters as well. In Epping Forest, we have had a history of far right extremism. We had 6 BNP councillors on Epping Forest District Council not so many years ago. So what we have always done, and what I've personally always done, is called out these individuals who do operate. And actually, this is where the kind of violence took place and was really agitated, because there was local people expressing their concerns quite rightly, and they were agitated and wound up by people who, they were just there for a fight.
Yeah, and that's got to be that's got to be so disappointing, because in a democratic society, you have an absolute right to express your opinion, especially when the face of your community is changing, when the government isn't listening to you or your elected councillors or whatever is going on. And then you get the rabble-rousers, the people who turn up just because they're looking for a fight, for entertainment, for a riot. And we often see it in the summer months as well. It's generally when we have this sort of disorder, when we have this sort of looting, or indeed people attacking the police. It's quite hard to know what to do about it when you do have people who are professional troublemakers who see this as sort of how they entertain themselves of an evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I would do is encourage local people to really act through democratic means. So as a council, we've set up a petition. We continually call on the Home Office to meet with us as a council to discuss our concerns and take that action as quick as possible.
But this is the problem, isn't it, Holly? That, these democratic means are seemingly not working. You've got, and you speak to people every day, I'm sure, who are deeply concerned about this hotel and the number of people who they don't know just of turning up in their area, and they feel like powerless.
Yeah, and I get it. As I say, I live in Epping. I've lived in Epping my whole life, and you never thought you'd see a 14-year-old girl be assaulted on Epping High Street in broad daylight. So, I understand why people are frustrated, but we have to be the tolerant community, which we are and have always been, and act in a respectful and peaceful manner. And actually, I would say, rather than turning up to these protests where we do have people trying to cause trouble, the best thing to do is put pressure through democratic means, and that is all we can do. But we are really pressing the government, look what's happened here, close the hotel immediately and make sure you take that action that's needed.
Yeah, otherwise it's just tinderbox Britain, isn't it, really? Holly Whitbread, really appreciate your insight on this. Conservative councillor in Epping. Knows the community very well, of course.
Yeah. Well, we'll be keeping
It's what happens when the government doesn't listen, isn't it?
Yeah. But perhaps you'd like to go somewhere a little sunnier, maybe avoid some of the violence that is breaking out on the streets of Britain.